We are now joined by Daniel Hemric, driver of the number 19 Draw Tight Ford for Brad Keselowski Racing. Daniel, you've posted solid top 10 finishes all season. What do you and the team need to do to take it to the next level and capture your first career win?
Obviously, we've performed decent up to this point in the season, but not to the highest level of what we want to. Talking with all of our guys internally, we feel like as an organization, obviously me being there for the first year, the team feels like it's as good as it's ever been. That gives me a lot of confidence moving forward, and we just got to clean up some stuff. I haven't maybe done as best I can do on pit road, getting all I can get all year. We've tried to kind of build on everything as we went, and just little stuff here and there. We're building better, faster trucks. Everybody's constantly putting the work in to get better. It's just a matter of putting it all together, and I think we're that close. We thought we had a shot once or twice already this year. Wasn't 100% able to capitalize, and the race didn't turn out quite like we wanted it to, but I promise you we're getting closer, and hopefully we can put it all together here at Charlotte.
Perfect. All right. We'll go ahead and open it up to questions. Please state your name and affiliation. We'll go to Kelly.
Daniel,
we have a mic this time.
Kelly Carno, PopularSpeed.com. Daniel, Toyota's been the standard bearer, it seems like, in all three series, but certainly in trucks with Kyle Busch Motorsports. What do you and Tyler as a Ford team, what's the Fords kind of working towards to challenge them?
Yeah, so obviously Ford's involvement has progressively gotten more and more involved with the Camp World Truck Series over the last couple of years. So it was an honor for myself to be able to sign underneath that banner for this year. And I know Tyler and I both, we appreciate everything they're doing for us as a team, and they're constantly putting more and more back into our series and our organization at Brad Keselowski Racing itself. So it means a lot for them to support us and know that hopefully we can go out there and try to beat those Toyotas. I know, like I said earlier, we're getting closer and closer, and I feel like the Toyotas definitely did have a bit of a jump start on everybody to start this year. It was pretty obvious, but I feel like that gap is slowly but surely narrowing, and I think the further we go in the season, that gap should diminish, and hopefully we can get victory lane here pretty quick. Obviously Toyota's invested a lot into the sport, and they've, I think it's a lot of little stuff. I think the body stuff, maybe some motor stuff, and at the end of the day, they have good people. And I feel like that's one place where we're trying to excel is I feel like we've got a great group of guys, myself and Tyler and everybody at BKR, and I think we're constantly doing the right things to catch those guys, just a matter of putting it all together.
All right, we'll go to Jim.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. Daniel, guys like you get asked this question a lot when working with Brad Keselowski, but on one hand, could you talk a little bit about what it's like from an experience point of view of working with somebody who's also a Sprint Cup driver and former series champion, and also as someone who's benefited from this, how important do you think it is that guys like Brad and Kyle Busch reinvest back into the sport to give opportunities? They take a lot of heat for running in the races, but a lot of times it gets overlooked at what they actually provide for young up-and-comer drivers.
Yeah, the first part of that question, obviously to be able to lean on Brad, being a former Sprint Cup champion and knowing that he's been in all these places, been successful at every place we go to every week. He knows the ins and outs of what to expect, and I try to reach out to him every week on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday leading up to the race weekend. I know we're going to have fast trucks when we unload, but what's that little bit extra that if you were in the truck, what would you really look for in practice to make sure come, from a day practice to a night race, what do you look for the balance, or what should I really be asking for? And that's just stuff I haven't really got to experience a whole lot of. So to be able to lean on him, I think that's could be the turning point of our season, and it's really helped jumpstart, myself being with a new group of guys and him knowing kind of how my crew chief, Chad Kendrick, reacts to things and how when he's put in certain situations, how he reacts. So when Brad can enlighten me on what he expects from myself and from Chad and how we should work together, he's been in that situation. So be able to lean on him in that case is huge for me. And like I said, Tyler and everybody at BKR is allowed to do that as well. And I feel like it definitely is going to be the deciding factor of us making that next step or of performance-wise to be able to, to really put our trucks in the victory lane. And the other side of that question, what does it mean when those guys come down and run with us and whatnot? And I feel like for the most part, all the racers in the garage will tell you it makes all of us better. And to see Brad and Kyle and even go as far as Dale Jr. in the Xfinity Series, seeing what those guys are putting back to our sport. NASCAR is a healthy sport. It's just a matter of all those guys like that really stepping up. It means a lot to all the young racers to be able to hopefully come up behind them and to really paving a solid roadway for all of us.
All right, we'll go to Chris.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Daniel, you're 8 positions higher as far as your average finishing position this season compared to last, but you've had to go through a lot of changes, new team, new people, even some new sponsors that you're working with. Can you talk about how that transition has helped you better with an on-track performance in 2016? And are you putting a lot of pressure on yourself to win driving for a notorious owner like Brad Keselowski?
I've always put a lot of pressure on myself to win no matter what it was. So just a matter of jumping in the truck with a little different outside surrounding, but it's always the same goal. You go to the racetrack for one reason, that's to win races and build our brand and build our partnership with all the people and sponsors that we have with us this year. And the average finish is definitely better than what I've been in the past, but it's just a testament to the group of guys I've been fortunate to surround myself with. And like I said, hopefully it's just the beginning. If it's 8 spots better, I'm not sure where we're at, second or third there in points, but we want to be that much better, and that's what everybody's striving for. Yeah, that's a good point. They have 4 different winners and 4 different Camp World Truck Series regulars win in the first 5 races. I think it definitely is putting a solid baseline up of what you got to do in this series this year to be successful. And obviously, there is that sense of urgency. Every race that goes by, if you don't win, there is that little bit of, okay, that's one less opportunity we have. But nobody's losing sight of the ultimate goal, and that's just to do the best we can do every week and get better every week. And ultimately, we're all building for the 7-race chase at the end of the year, and knowing that if we keep doing our jobs, all the other stuff will come. We've ran too good week in and week out over the last couple of weeks with a couple of hiccups along the way, but we know we keep putting ourselves in position, and then all the other stuff will take care of itself. And obviously it's disappointing that we haven't capitalized on some of the opportunities we've had on all ends. And like I said, we're that close to doing it. And once you do that, is that enough to lock in? Maybe not. You may have to win 2 to make sure you're definitely, can say, okay, without a doubt, you can lay down at night and say, I'm definitely locked into this deal. Now let's maybe go out on a limb or whatnot to see if we can get an advantage on some of these guys. But at the end of the day, you got to go to the racetrack to win races. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, in the past, it was no matter what situation, you got to make the most of your day, good, bad, or indifferent. But I feel like that really hasn't changed a whole lot. I promise you, everybody that puts a helmet on when we go out there to race is all for the same goal. But when we can't, you still have to minimize your mistakes. You still have to make the most of it, because if it does come down to, let's say it's 9 or 10 guys that have 1 win, let's say nobody repeats, which I don't see that happening. But if it does, okay, so you still got to outpoint them somewhere along the way. So you still have to make the most of those bad days.
All right, we'll come over here to our left.
Hi, Daniel. Deb Williams with RacingToday.com. You were talking about earlier being with a new team. And, of course, Roger Penske has very specific ways of doing things. Has any of that filtered down into the way Brad does things? And if so, what's been some of the biggest adjustments that you've made?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, still being semi-new to the organization, but to see how Roger conducts business with everybody he's involved with, I'd say that's fair to say it's definitely trickled down into the BKR camp, and seeing how just day-to-day operations at Brad Keselowski Race and how everybody presents themselves, how we make sure our shop stays on a constant basis. I mean, I like to think that you could walk into Penske and walk into BKR and really compare how clean and just the way people are dressed, just from the top to bottom, the way everybody carries themselves. I think that part of it is for sure filtered down. And then, to look at everything and know that what Brad's striving for, he's in it for the long term. So to be part of that at this given day, it's a true honor.
But because of those specific ways, I mean, I know there's been some people who have come into the Penske organization that's had difficulty adjusting to it because it's so regimented. have you had difficulty, or what's been your biggest adjustment that you've had to make in going to Brad Keselowski Racing?
Okay, I'm with you now. No, it's definitely a different form of motorsports. Definitely the way I've grown up racing, kind of from pulling in these tunnels here at Charlotte, racing the summer shootout on an open trailer, to going to organization like I'm surrounded with now, and knowing, the way Penske, presents himself at the racetrack the same way Brad does. It's definitely something you got to conduct yourself, whether it be the way you dress at the racetrack, or the formal meetings for another meeting throughout the week, or workout regimen. A lot of stuff is expected of you, but I know anybody in my position expects that. I feel like when you sign up for the gig I'm part of, and to be able to have the stuff to keep yourself to, I think it's a good problem to have. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, we'll go to Woody.
So Woody came with MRN. You got a different tire here, a little bit grippier tire coming around this time. I know you haven't been out on the track yet, but what kinds of things are you expecting from that based on what you've seen in the past, understanding that you haven't been there yet?
Yeah, obviously the weather's a big part of that tire combination as well, not knowing, how green the racetrack is once we get out there. And with it being a green racetrack, if the tire is as grippy as it's supposed to be, tire wear is obviously, I'd imagine, be a little bit higher. So I think a matter of when you get your last set of tires versus when the guys took their last set could be a huge deciding factor in our finish. And, it's definitely a variable we all hopefully get to experience here in practice. And if not, it's going to be a variable for sure.
Any final questions for Daniel? All right, Daniel, thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.